The 1-900 Wrestling Podcast is brought to you, as always, by patreon.com/1900 Wrestling. We are firmly on the road to Wrestlemania, which, of course, for us means hashtag Dills to Mania. We're getting there. But I'm not going to lie, folks. If we are going to make Willie Dills' dream come true of going to WrestleMania, we got to gather all the support we can. If you got a buck in your pocket and you want to make sure that you would not only have access to our Discord so you can watch and talk to all the other fans of the show while these events are going on live, but also want to make sure that you support the number one most creative wrestling podcast on the planet, then you got to head on over to patreon.com/1900 Wrestling. We get our name from a pay call site, but we don't charge you. But if you want to pay, that's also cool. So go ahead on over, patreon.com/1900 Wrestling. But enough talking about how we do the show. Let's go ahead and do the damn thing.
I want you to call me for all of wrestling's latest news and views. I've been around in wrestling for 35 years, and nobody knows wrestling like me. Remember the number 1-900 Wrestling.
Stupid idiots.
They call me Hara.
If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
And his name is John Cena.
Well, look at this prima donna.
Thank God Donald Trump's a maniac.
And that brings us into it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 1-900 Wrestling. We are indeed on the road to WrestleMania. We are done with the Royal Rumble. We are en route to the Elimination Chamber, which is apparently called Cube Fight in Germany for very disturbing reasons. I am joined here, as always, by my tag team partner, co-host, and a birthday boy this weekend. Happy birthday to you, Willie Dills Gregory.
Yo, what's going on, man? Thank you very much. I'm still recovering from a full weekend ago, and then I had to go do it all again because it was my birthday. So
I know. I'll tell you what, man. You came out from a combo PAX convention / wrestling weekend.
A wrestling extravaganza, if I were to say it. Yes. I mean,
and then
both nights, Friday or Saturday and Sunday, we were
so Friday we're out,
doing it big.
Saturday we're out, Sunday we're out, and then you come right back. You got a couple days to heal up, and then you go right into not only your birthday, but also Super Bowl Sunday.
Super Bowl. But I will also, so I definitely got back, and I had the con crud. The con crud
was real.
Yeah. So it was not like I wasn't like, oh my God, I'm deathly ill. It was just like everything is congested.
Yeah.
Just my voice doesn't come out right. It's breathing stupid and annoying. Yeah, it was not good. In better shape than Seth Rollins, though. So there's that. But
well, all right, yeah. Let's go ahead and get right into this.
Let's do it.
Because the big news coming out of WrestleMania, we were there. We were not but 3 feet away from where Seth Rollins came from the crowd into the NXT ring. The entire Freeman Coliseum erupts in chaos.
That was a huge pop for someone who had been labeled as not really being great at being a face.
Yeah.
That moment, he was a great face. Right?
Oh, yeah. It was the first time that we've seen the roster movement the other way, right? Like, there's always big fun times where Kevin Owens shows up to John Cena's open challenge, right? Or Sami Zayn when he did it.
They used to do some stuff every now and then, like Cesaro, Sami Zayn, 2 out of 3 falls match and stuff like that, right? They used to do some somewhat back and forth, but that was when they was very much NXT was 100% considered developmental.
Sure,
I think at this point,
and they still do, right?
They still do, but I think also there's been words from Triple H and other people that they want it to just be like another brand, right?
Well, but that's always
they're not necessarily the minor leagues anymore.
But because even all that is always kind of a fresh start. Like it's not like when Cesaro came back to the main roster that there was a lot of talk between him, Jack Swagger, and Zeb Coulter about like, hey, great 2 out of 3 Falls match in Orlando.
No, exactly. It was as if it didn't happen.
Yeah, it was
roster,
not part of the
sure.
main canon. It was some extra little thing. It was fun for NXT, but that was it. This
Yeah.
was full on Worlds Collide, a storyline which lives on the main roster, now bleeding into NXT. Big moment. And then all of a sudden, he doesn't show up at. We were both speculating that this was going to be one of those, Seth Rollins was going to be in the backstage vignettes all night during the Royal Rumble.
It had to be setting something up, right? I mean, there was really no reason to have him lose his spot in the Rumble.
Yeah.
To Sami Zayn, show up at NXT TakeOver, and then not have any payoff at the actual Royal Rumble.
Funny you should say that, because let's put a pin in that. We're going to come back to that, okay? We're going to come back to that. Because what happens on Monday, big confrontation, Triple H teased all night. They do the Nitro limo spot twice.
Mm-hmm.
Once Brock Lesnar comes out, the second time, indeed it is. Behold the King of Kings. Makes his way out for the final segment of Raw. Gives a great, every year now, Triple H has to have the reason why he's like, I'm not this man in a suit. Like, I'm really a murderer. I murder people. Gives that speech. Everyone loves it. Amazing promo. Seth Rollins comes out. Meet your destroyer. A little wink, wink, nod, nod to the fact that Samoa Joe's theme song is Destroyer, apparently. Samoa Joe comes out of the audience, beats the living holy hell out of Seth Rollins. And all of a sudden, we find out that night or the next day that Seth Rollins is injured and is now getting a medical evaluation, and his status for WrestleMania is up in the air.
And now this is the same knee, isn't it?
Same
that was already
knee.
previously hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
this is a problem for him. But so I guess my question is, and of course, in wrestling, this is one of the beauties of the wrestling, for being a fan and everything about it.
Yeah.
Is that we don't know how much of this was made up at the time. How much is real? Exactly. It's great. Was he injured on Saturday? Was he injured on Sunday? And then now Samoa Joe, you could say, here's where he got injured, right?
And there's also a little moment. There's also a moment in which Samoa Joe takes him down. It's now being widely speculated. This is the moment that is going to require him to go get medical attention. And you hear, there's audio wherein you hear Samoa Joe say to Seth Rollins, "Are you okay?" And Seth Rollins says, "I hope so."
Uh-oh.
So.
All right. So maybe Monday. Yeah. I mean, look, it did seem weird that he wasn't there on Sunday, though. That seemed weird to me.
Oh, because listen, I'm not one in life. Okay, I am not one for conspiracy theories. I am very, very much. I walk around with Paul Ellering by my side because I subscribe to the Occam's razor theory. Okay.
Okay.
Occam and Razor tell me that the most likely solution is probably the one, right?
Okay, sure. So it's not the lizard people, and it's not. But
if I were to indulge my Alex Jones side,
if
I were to say, Willie, isn't it a little odd to you that Seth Rollins, who should be a major part of your WrestleMania plans, all of a sudden is not in your Royal Rumble? Isn't it a little odd that
it's a little odd.
He keeps his storyline going by way of a non-physical confrontation? Willie, isn't it a little odd?
You're right.
The medical diagnosis for what should be something that he needs to get his knee scoped in Birmingham, Alabama, is being announced on Raw? Isn't it a little weird that all of a sudden his medical timetable would have him getting cleared the week of WrestleMania? Pierce, just saying.
You're right. Circumstantially, I'm finding this all a little strange.
Vince McMahon turned the frogs gay.
He's saying Vince McMahon is an interdimensional sex ring operator from from Mars, and he works at a pizza shop on the weekends. Is that what you're telling me?
I don't want to get conspiratorial, but
sure.
Let's also remember this. Everybody has a real short memory, but not me. Not Wrestling Alex Jones. Wrestling Alex Jones remembers that the last opponent to face Triple H also was absent the last 6 months in the lead up to WrestleMania. It also happened during a brawl on Raw, where all of a sudden they were medically unable to be a part of that buildup. Now, you could say that the Roman Reigns angle last year, which was a medical injury angle to set up a legitimate medical issue. He had this deviated septum thing. He needed to get it fixed. He was going to have to be out of the ring for a little bit. They wound up working it into the storyline.
Sure.
What this conspiracy theory presupposes is that indeed Seth Rollins was injured. Indeed, they knew that they needed to give him a in the grand scheme of things, minor medical procedure to make sure that he was right for WrestleMania, and that maybe he put himself at risk to injure himself between here and then.
Now, yes. Well, so he's continued to do the move that buckled the knee, right? He's continued to do a lot of the things that he did before, high-risk maneuvers, jumping off of high areas, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He did continue to do that. Now let me give you a little bit of let me feed Alex Jones here a little bit.
Okay. Go ahead, Willie.
This picture that I'm looking up Seth Rollins' injury.
Okay.
And top result is a tweet from him where it's basically just his knee wrapped in some blue, like compression tape type stuff with what appears to be some sort of a diode of some sort to, I'm sure, test for internal injury. And then what looks to just be like two iPhone earbuds carefully placed underneath each of those items. This could have easily been recreated anywhere.
It's a false flag. False flag.
Not a hospital. This could have been anything. This doesn't necessarily.
Well, reports do have him going down to Birmingham, and
that's true.
And that is Dr. James Andrews, of course, the angel of death for any wrestling fan. Whenever somebody goes down to Dr. James Andrews, you know that it is serious. So there was a visit to Birmingham. We do know that there was some kind of procedure. The question is exactly how much of a surprise was this to WWE? That's the real big question.
And he cut a pretty sweet Twitter promo afterwards about how he's still got to take down Triple H, and that is the goal. The resolve is still there, all of this stuff.
Also, Samoa Joe, now 2 for 2. 2 appearances in a WWE ring, 2 injuries. He put Tyson Kidd possibly out for life. And we don't know exactly how serious this is. Samoa Joe keeping kayfabe, though, on Twitter, at replying Triple H and saying that he has done his bidding successfully.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're a wrestler, at a certain point, you understand that when you get in the ring, it's like a football player, right? Like the football players, they all say the same thing. Every play could be your last. And you know that going in, right? So it's not on the other guy all the time. It's that things happen.
All right, I want to keep this one short because I found this is one of the things that I found very, very dumb, and it's one of those squared circle pet peeves. I think it's also safe to say that there's a large reason why I do. I can only speak for me. Dills, you can speak for yourself. A lot of the reason why I'm doing this podcast right now is because I get very frustrated reading our squared circle. Because
I do too sometimes. I really enjoy it a lot of the times, but there's definitely the circle jerking. The people make the jokes about the circle jerking. It is a real thing, and it happens. And it's literally like 1 week everyone thinks Dean Ambrose is the most boring guy ever, and then literally the next week it's like, oh my God, I've always loved Dean Ambrose. Haven't I told you that? You know.
When it's great, it's great.
Sure.
When it's bad, it's bad. This is an example of it being bad. Actually, The Undertaker is bad, and he shouldn't be on TV anymore.
So, now I can understand why someone might start to think this, because in wrestling, like you remember prime Undertaker, right?
Sure.
But the thing is, this is like when they show a picture of somebody who's 65, and then the comments below are like, "Wow, he looks bad." And
Yeah.
you're like, "Yeah, dude, he's 65.
Yeah.
He used to be like 40. This is what happens to people. Like, are you serious?" So this is, and this is the folly of youth, right? People who are young don't understand that people get old. And Undertaker's he's just getting old, man. But he's not there anymore to put on insane athletic matches on the roof of Hell in a Cell and blah blah blah. He's there for the presence and who he is and what he does for the storylines and how he sets up these.
Undertaker isn't gonna climb a bunk bed, okay? Like that
no.
we are done with that element of his career. Here's all I'm gonna say:
it's a lot of punching and it's a lot of storytelling, and that's all you get now.
We were in the Alamo Dome when that gong hit.
Sure.
And it's a moment you can't describe, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, listen, if it's 4:00 in the morning and you're in Ireland and you all of a sudden the Undertaker shows up and he's definitely got a belly on him and everyone's running into him because he doesn't have the mobility and all he really does is take the bump over the top rope and then does the zombie sit up. Like, yes, I can understand looking at that on television and saying that is less than impressive. But allow me to say that there were 52,000 people reported in the Alamo Dome, and it was electric when that happened. It was something that we were looking forward to, and oh my God, was it worth every second and penny that we put into being there for. So,
and
no,
like
the Undertaker's not bad. He's very good.
This is the thing. Like, wrestlers don't age well necessarily because of what they do to their bodies, right? So the fact that he's realized, like, okay, I got to switch to this basically once a year type of format for my career now. That has enabled him to continue to do, to kind of finish his career like on his own terms and doing like cool things that still matter, right? He's still very much like he's a force.
Yeah.
And his character is a force, right? He doesn't physically have to still do all that stuff. Now, a guy like Goldberg coming back, he's like not been in the ring for years. He could just do a bunch of working out, and then all of a sudden he looks great again, right? Because his body hasn't taken the same toll, right, as the Undertaker. So, yeah, people just got to understand, dude, like we live in the real world here. And I know that you, watching wrestling, just want to believe that they're all Supermen, but these are real people doing crazy stuff.
Well, and I think that there is something to be said. Anybody who's been to an indie wrestling show that's had a legend show up, and you're like, oh,
looks
my
bad.
God,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, there is a point in which it gets sad, right?
Absolutely.
And
I mean, look, I think
away.
Ric Flair and TNA was a mistake. I think there's definitely been some, mistakes have been made. I currently do not believe Undertaker is a mistake unless he comes out and then they have Brock Lesnar F5 him 3 times again. Like, if that were to be what they were deciding to book, then sure. Let's not have that happen.
Actually, the Undertaker's bad. No, actually, you're bad. If you say that, actually, you're bad. You're a bad.
So
you're a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch the Super Bowl last night?
I did watch the Super Bowl. Now, I'll say this: I'm not. I live in Texas, and in Texas, football is friggin' king. Like, as much they love wrestling here too. Basically, Texans love sports, but football is like religion, right? It's insane. If people don't care who's playing, people will turn on a high school football game, and all of a sudden they will not care what else is going on. That's Texas. It's crazy. Yeah. But I myself am not what I would call like a huge football fan. I'm fine with it. I've enjoyed many a football game. I've gone to playoff games for the 49ers, and the Super Bowl is just kind of a spectacle. But I think Randy Orton was correct when he said on Twitter, Wrestlemania over the Super Bowl. I'm a firm believer. And last night was probably the most exciting Super Bowl I think I've ever watched of 2 teams that I didn't care about.
As far as the back and forth element of it, it certainly was a fantastic comeback, right?
Sure.
I'll still, for very selfish reasons, take the Steelers Cardinals Super Bowl as far as a back and forth kind of battle.
So basically, we watched 2 blowouts. We watched one blowout in the first half, and then another blowout in the second half, right? So.
But the weirdest moment, and it's funny, I'm glad that you made the Randy Orton thing. because there was this one weird moment at the very, very end. This is after the Patriots win, and now on the podium, you saw the commissioner, or everybody was there, and the commissioner was making his way to go ahead and talk to Robert Kraft and the ownership of the Patriots to hand them the trophy. I just thought this was just a really, really weird decision for them to make audio-wise. Let's just go ahead and play the audio of Roger Goodell making his way up to the podium.
That's what NFL football is all about. Robert, you know how hard these are to get. And this is your fifth under your leadership, Coach Belichick and Tom Brady. What an unbelievable achievement for your organization. Congratulations to your organization, to your fans, and your community. We're so proud of you. Take your Super Bowl trophy home to New England.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that theme song is cursed. Maybe it's just whenever anybody hears that theme song, they just start booing. I don't quite understand it.
Now, it was funny because I was with my cousin when I was watching this, and he's like, "Oh, I hate that guy," and I guess I'm just out of the loop. I was like, "Why do we hate this guy? What's going on? Oh, we have a heel commissioner? Oh, sweet. Okay, I understand that. Yeah, all right, I'm on board."
Although, really, I mean, football's really just catching up with this. All the other major sports hate their commissioners, right? David Stern used to get booed out of the building. Gary Bettman still gets booed out of the building. Everybody, all the commissioners are the bad guys, right?
And the Super Bowl was basically just like, it was just like many WrestleManias in the past. Essentially, the Patriots are like John Cena. They're, face to some, heel to others. And they went over. We almost had a dusty finish there. It would have been kind of interesting.
Almost.
If on the final drive like that he didn't actually get over the line, and then everyone rushes the field and they're doing the review, and then they're like, "Wait a minute, it wasn't actually a touchdown."
Yeah.
Right, everybody off the field now. That would have been fantastic. I was hoping for that to happen, but then I saw the replay. I was like, "Nope, all right."
No, he's definitely in there. I mean, listen,
but here's the thing. See, this is people who like football who then make fun of people who like wrestling. Let me just tell you this. You thought that Super Bowl was so incredibly exciting, right? Because you saw this amazing comeback. Well, man, every WrestleMania, there's 20 amazing comebacks.
I'll tell you what, listen, those were some really, really, really nice odds. It'd be a real shame if somebody overcame them. And indeed,
exactly.
LOL, Patriots win. Something that came up in our chat room before we started going was the new Raw theme song.
Yeah, the new one. Yeah.
The new one.
Now, it's not been new for that long, right? It was with the brand split.
This was with the brand split.
Did a bunch of things.
Yeah. They gave a new camera rig to SmackDown, and Raw got to move their announce table. But here, I just want to read. I had never read the lyrics.
Oh, and they stopped using those CRT monitors too. I don't know if you noticed that. Well, they still
I
are.
think they got new cases.
Modern ones.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, who knows whether or not they're flat screen? They still are gigantic boxes.
They're still long. Yeah, because I mean that's you got to have the moment where they pull them out. And it's very
maybe
dramatic.
now that's just where Corey Graves keeps his pomade.
Sure.
Here we go. This is the lyrics. Okay. Listen up. There's not a moment to spare. It's quite a drop from the top. So how you feeling down there?
Okay, now let's just analyze that first line. Now, are they talking smack to SmackDown, or are they talking to TNA or everybody else who's on TV and trying?
It might be about their own ratings. It just might be about their own their own television deal. It's like this is a very self-reflexive, depressing song. Also, you have to imagine that this wound up getting approved probably around the time that they were doing the biggest WrestleMania ever with half their roster. This is probably like some fairly dark, depressive times for the WWE brass, right?
I mean, yeah, WrestleMania last year was a struggle, I'm sure, for booking.
They did their best.
To figure out.
They did their best. So here we go.
They really did. Yeah.
It's a cold, cruel, harsh reality. Caught stuck here with your enemies. Who do you think you are? Tearing us all apart. Where did you think you could go? Because everyone already knows it's 20-1, so you better run.
Wow. Now, okay. I gotta be honest. This is like a song I would have wrote in high school.
Right? But how
Just
about
think,
this?
Like, it's 20-1, so you better run. Like, that line seems very like.
Or how about this one? Okay, this is. I mean, and you can just imagine. Maybe, Vince he writes it out on a little, a cocktail napkin and just says, whatever you do, I just want this line in here. I'm sick of hearing these fans boo the superstars. I'm sick of hearing everybody cheer for the bad guys. How about this? Here's the next set of lyrics. You've got the world on its knees. You're taking all that you please. You want more, but you'll get nothing from me, pal.
Wow.
You'll get nothing from me. And then how about this? You're like the burden we bear. You're the hate we all share. You want more, but you'll get nothing from me. We're enemies.
Jeez. So, I mean, look, this could be a confrontational thing where they're trying to say Raw versus SmackDown, right? Like that. Maybe that's
is it that
they needed a confrontational tone in their song, right?
But also, how is this one? This should be the SmackDown one, right? Because
Right? Yeah,
Raw
totally.
got 2 draft picks for every one on SmackDown, right?
Sure.
Like, there's literally just. Yeah, you want to know what, Reverend Puck? Yeah, Raw's theme song is a Taylor Swift song. There's a little T Swizzle in here. I'm not gonna lie. Like
Sure.
there's some bitterness.
She wants you to shake it off, man.
Yeah.
Now, look, I liked the fact that they kind of did rebrand everything, but a part of me really enjoyed "Tonight Is the Night." I don't know, but
Right.
it just felt like
Can't miss.
I like the idea that. Like, it's not the pay-per-view, man. Raw tonight is
Tonight's
the night.
the
I don't know.
night.
Like, that was kind of cool. I enjoyed that. So anyway,
Although I do like the fact that this is a little down, because now when something crazy happens, you kind of feel like, like, oh man, like if it's like, you want more, you get nothing from me, and it's like, and then all of a sudden you come in and it's like, we've got a big match. It's this, that, and the other. You're like, yay! When it was like, tonight's the night, best show ever. We're all gonna remember this tonight. Everybody, this is tonight. And then it's like, Big Show versus Cena in a somebody's gonna lose match.
Yeah. It's
there's-
true.
And
It
it's
is
like,
true.
okay, maybe the expectations were calibrated in the wrong direction.
Well, what I do think that it's good. Like, every single one of these shows should feel very different from the other, right? Because that's what really gets you. Because it's there was a time when I just mixed SmackDown and Raw together. There was a time when the show Smaw. Well, literally that's what it was. Basically, you had Raw, and then you had a 2-hour like replay segment that would happen on Thursdays.
Exactly.
They would call it SmackDown, right? And now it all feels very different, and this is great. This is fantastic. No more packages on SmackDown.
Oh, sure.
about what
No.
happens
I mean, the brand split's great, but also just tell me that this isn't an angry missive to the fans, okay?
It's got to be. I mean,
Listen, no. I'm just going to read you these lyrics here. You started something that you just couldn't stop. You turned the ones that you love into the angriest mob, and their one last wish is that you pay for it, and there's no way you're getting out of this. Who do you think you are, tearing us all apart?
Jeez.
Where
how
did you think
far
it
do
could
they
go?
actually get in these
Because everyone
lyrics in the
already
intro?
knows. It's 20-1, so you better run.
I'm going to pay a lot more attention now because I oftentimes zone out during the intros to all these shows.
Well, because we've been trained since
Sure.
we were kids to not listen to the lyrics, because a lot of times they were just incoherent messes, right?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
just like,
just a bunch of like
Hey,
baby
Chuck,
babies and
Chuck,
whatever.
hey,
Yeah.
Chuck, hey.
And so I zoned. I want to find out if there's any. I'm gonna Alex Jones this up. I'm gonna look and pay attention. Are there any visual cues going along where we could say, like, at the moment where he says, you're down there,
Yeah.
who are they showing on the screen at that moment? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, we're gonna analyze this.
So speaking of music, One of our running jokes that unfortunately, hopefully everybody, by the way, liked our little audio diary. I was really, really happy with it that we put out last week, chronicling our full day leading up to the Royal Rumble.
You could tell as the show, because I didn't like listen to it obviously because I lived it.
Yeah.
But I went through it. I just kind of was like, let's skip through. I wanted to find the moment when Roman Reigns comes out at number 30 and all that kind of stuff. It was funny because we start off pretty coherent.
Yeah.
And then as this gets deeper and deeper, you're like, oh man, we're now at the binge drinking portion of our evening. I
will say this: the end. I was gonna cut the end because like it was us really, really, really drunk. But
sure.
I love. There was one. I left it in just because that's the moment that you want, right? You're just you're both in a strange city. You just watch some wrestling, and now you're like philosophizing confidently on the "I love this bar" version of Luke Harper's new theme. Like that to me was the joy of wrestling.
Yeah. So what I liked what you said was basically this is like a love letter to how fun this kind of stuff is, and I think that's absolutely what it was. It was we went and we were like just ready to take all of it in and have the full experience, right?
Yeah.
We're like, we're not going to miss out on any of the, we're going to show up early, do a bar, go to a bar afterwards and meet people, do our own versions of wrestling intros to a bunch of strangers.
So
like it was like the first time like a nerd goes to like a Comic-Con or something and they're like, there's people like me, and that's what's cool about stuff like that is that people really come out of their shells at cons. And I think at wrestling events, people are there to literally be like, this is what I want to be all the time.
Yeah.
I can't, but now I can, right? And so they really it feels like people are letting loose. It was great.
There was a moment that we didn't get in the audio diary, but at the bar that we were pre-gaming at, a dude walked in with long black greasy hair and a full Roman Reigns cosplay and got
fully
booed.
Dressed up as Roman Reigns.
Got booed when he all of a sudden we're just drinking and we just hear boos and we just look to our left and there he is, Roman Reigns cosplay himself. God, it was so great. But one of the jokes,
that kind of stuff. That's like those are the magical moments.
Those
are
everybody
was on
moments,
board
right?
Immediately with the bit that happened out of thin air, right?
One of the things that we that didn't make the audio diary, but was a constant callback joke for us was, we gonna blow your mind, which of course is the theme song to Remember the Rumble. Somebody also, by the way, just replied me with like, oh, well, you better be careful because I've heard Ohio Bam or whatever his name, the guy who sang the song, has been blowing people's minds all over the city of San Antonio, and that dude liked it. Like he was apparently
really?
He was trolling for attention on the blow your mind song.
Blow your mind memes.
When he was
on the
doing
internet?
these dishes, he was just wishing. That was my favorite lyric that got repeated over and over and over again, is rhyming dishes with wishes.
That's when you're writing a song and you realize I'm stuck on this line, and then you go to rhyme.com and you're like, what rhymes with wishes? Oh, dishes. Okay.
So I want people to email in justinrobertyoung@gmail.com, especially if you're in a band. I want a theme song for our 1-900 Wrestling Chopper Traffic updates covering the road to WrestleMania. We will have our own chopper in which we will be watching the road to WrestleMania, and we'll be giving you all traffic updates on the road to WrestleMania. But we need a theme song. We need a WWE-esque either party rap or like mega aggressive rock theme song.
Party rap or rap metal or like a new metal.
But because like now all the WrestleMania theme songs are all just like rap songs about like let's go have a nacho party. We're hanging out like we're having a great time.
You wonder why Flo Rida keeps doing it. It's like, well, that's because that's his jam.
Because that's his thing, right?
That's the pocket he lives in right there. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we want to do the 1-900 Wrestling Chopper traffic updates for the road to WrestleMania. We need a theme song. Go ahead and send one in. Dills, is it weird that nobody actually thinks that Cena versus Orton is going to be the last match at WrestleMania? Like SmackDown doesn't even think that that's the case?
I mean, Yes. And now I'm hearing all this stuff about Orton Wyatt as being like the main event.
That's the rumors. The rumors.
Yeah, and that would be kind of like what I love too is yes, okay. Well, we were in the car and you're like, oh, do you want to hear these WrestleMania matches that apparently are being set up? And then you can then kind of sit there and try to figure out, how does that make sense? How are they going to get there? How is this going to happen? And then you can kind of have these moments where you kind of write what you think the story might end up being in your head. And then when they kind of swerve you and things change, and obviously like people get hurt and they have to refigure things, you end up with stuff that's like fun and different and new. And I personally, I think that sounds like an amazing match because right now the buildup for those two to square off is huge. Like they both look incredibly strong right now, right?
They do. I do. And put a pin in that for a second because we're going to get back to
Sure.
it. But Cena versus Orton is going to be the main event of this week's SmackDown.
Yep.
And I'm curious to see, even if they say this is a WrestleMania preview, right? Like this is some.
They'll probably say something like this is like this match could be the main event of Wrestle, like this, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Because I don't think
draw
that
the
they did
comparisons
last
without
week.
directly doing it, right?
Like, yeah. So Orton's like it is weird because Orton seems like a more likely person to be in the main event than the current champion who is named John Cena, right? Like, he's lived in the main event of WrestleMania for much of his career. It is just a little odd that they're not, like, it almost seems transparent that there is going to be some movement on that title between now and WrestleMania.
Now, do you think, I mean, because I guess for me, too, that, the odds of John Cena walking out of Elimination Chamber as still the champions seem quite small, right? Like when you have to defend
the way that they're
against six
acting,
other guys and,
yeah,
and I'm kayfabing here a little bit, of course, but it's like I don't know, like that the Cena goes over, the Cena defeats the odds again or overcomes the odds again. I don't know if that's the angle that I think we're going to see here. So I think you're right. Like Orton will challenge the champion. Who will that champion be?
Now let's go back to what you mentioned about Bray Wyatt and Orton. Oh, we do have some breaking news here. WWE announces the Rock and Roll Express will be entering the Hall of Fame.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, is this the second one that we've heard of?
We have Angle for sure. And we have the Rock and Roll Express.
I haven't heard of anybody else yet, have I?
I think that might be the only two announced. There's a couple other rumored. But hopefully he got off the crane from the tag team Apocalypto. They'll be able to the Express that rock and rolls. Let me ask you this.
Rock and Roll Express. I feel like I barely remember these guys.
Well, Rock and Roll Express, I mean, they are huge, obviously, in the South. That is Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express, Freebirds. Man, I was itching to play some Bad Street last night. That's what I wanted to do. That was I hope that was going to be my ending Snapchat because I kept playing Atlanta songs. I just wanted Bad Street, Atlanta, GA. Instead, the odds got overcome. All right. Willie Dills,
so
pick one.
Turn off, turn on some Boston Irish rock.
It was just like coming back to Boston.
Yeah,
like oh god, stupid Tom Brady. Let me ask you this: you can pick one. In his feud against the Undertaker, Roman Reigns turns heel, and I mean full heel. I mean like he goes He goes to CM Punk and gets the urn and dumps out all the ashes and defiles it. Like, just full-out bad guy Roman Reigns heel versus The Undertaker. Or, in their lead-up to a Orton-Wyatt match at WrestleMania, Orton teams up with Luke Harper, and now Bray Wyatt is the face. He is the good guy who needs to overcome these two monsters. Pick one.
Just imagining Wyatt as a face is just so bizarre to me. Like, to have a bunch of people cheering essentially a serial killer.
I mean, but, like, really, how different is he than Mankind?
Okay, sure.
You know?
Sure.
And it's like, you're telling me that when they go play these smaller southern arenas, that the guy talking about how the machine is holding him down and everybody else looks down on him because of the way that they look and the way that they talk, that's not going to get over
It's true, and he's incredibly charismatic, and we all like him, right? I mean, we all definitely like him.
And also, he can be the, like, if you want Wyatt versus Orton, what's more attractive? Orton being the guy who needs to overcome the evil person, or Wyatt saying, you want to know what? You've been over the hill for too long. It's time for the new blood to come in. And it's time for old Bray to get a big time win.
Now for his entire career almost now on the main roster, I have been kind of secretly hoping that they would have Wyatt do some like truly evil things.
Yeah.
But when you then like get to this point, and there's a potential that we might need him to be a face. Yeah. It's kind of nice now that he has not done any truly evil things, so you can actually still find a way to root for him. But how could you not say that you want to watch a Roman Reigns heel turn, right? Like, if given a choice between that and almost anything else, a Roman Reigns heel turn would be so satisfying at this point.
He's a heel now. I'm fine with where he is.
Embrace it.
I'm fine with where he is now. Listen, for everybody, I can't imagine people not liking that Rumble because we knew it in the arena that there's no way they would have cheered for Randy Orton winning that Rumble if Roman Reigns doesn't come out at number 30. If the plan was always Randy Orton, how do you make sure that that's a happy moment? Well, you tease the fact that Roman's going to come out. Anyone but you. That's it.
Exactly. It's now a very and we've talked about it on this show. You brought it up that it's a tool in the toolbox now for WWE, that when they need to do something that it wouldn't be everyone's little babyface wet dream, right? Like if it's not Sami Zayn, then okay, here's what we can do. Bring in the big dog.
Exactly.
Right?
Do you want to make Finn Balor a star in one night? Put him over Roman. Do you want to make Triple H this gigantic figure of giving the title away? Have him pedigree Roman. Like that, it is just the thing they do to make sure that things are a big deal. Is they've built him up and now they can tear him down. I would, if given the choice between the two, and I'm excited to see what direction that the WWE takes it, but if I could only choose between those two, I would go. Bray is a good guy, man. I just think that's the next 5 years, and then when he turns on whoever he needs to turn on, then it's gonna be great. Like we've spent too much time in feckless villain territory for Bray. It's about time he kind of flexes his muscle a little bit.
He hasn't really done any winning for a long time as a heel, and you could definitely say his character is strong enough because of how committed he is to that character that he's not a guy who has to win to still be interesting, right? Yeah. And there's not that many guys like that. There's a lot of guys where if they never win, you just stop paying attention. You just lose interest in them, right?
Yeah.
And unless it's part of a storyline like, say, Dolph Ziggler. But with this guy, it kind of was never really part of his storyline that he never wins. We just noticed it after a while. People were like, oh, by the way, at pay-per-views, he's never the guy who actually ends up winning, even though he talks about, we still present him as the eater of worlds. It's some great, powerful dude that you got to watch out for. And he still comes across that way because of how good he is at his character. So I think, it would be fantastic to see him and see how good he could be at being a face, and see how they could still have him, hold on to some of his characteristics, like being essentially a cult leader is pretty tough to cheer for, right? So you got to find new ways to maybe he finally, gets people to brush their teeth before they go to bed or something. I don't know. Like he's like, you will follow me and brush your teeth. Yeah,
exactly. Brother man, you got to remember the tax day is approaching. Remember your deductions. Follow the tax law.
All right,
brother man, is that an LLC filing or a personal one? Remember, you have to pay state taxes, brother. All right.
Unless you live in Texas or Nevada. Yeah.
Bray
No,
Wyatt
I think,
tax
all right. So
advice.
I still want to see the Reigns. I still want to see Reigns like embrace the dark side. I think that'd still be a fun moment. But now that we've done the impersonations, okay, I want to see Bray Wyatt.
I'm actually
be a
just
good guy
realizing.
cult leader.
By the way, I'm just realizing now that that impression is amazing since he is the son of IRS.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
There's one thing I picked up from my daddy. It was to remember to file on time. Okay, here we go. Let's get into our melodica cover. This, I believe, was the last time that we did it. To which I don't even know if I know that.
No clue at all. This is the Godfather's theme song, if he was ever in WWE.
All right. That is the Iron Sheik.
Wow.
Here we go. The Iron Sheik. One more time. All right, so here we go. This is the one. Of course, you can email in or reply us at Justin R. Young, at Willie Dills on Twitter if you know what this is. Here is, for this week, your melodica cover. Yep. All right, you guys only get that one once, since apparently he decided to play the entire theme song as opposed to just the first couple notes. Again, thank you to Trey Warren, who is our melodica expert, playing all these covers. So go ahead and at reply at Justin R. Young, at Willie Dills, if you believe you know what this intro is. Willie, anything coming up this week?
Just a lot of streaming and hopefully finally not being sick. Less drinking will be happening because it's time to give the body a rest. So
Exactly.
yeah, just come check me out twitch.tv/WillieDillsSF. We'll probably be playing fun decks because everybody agrees that the Hearthstone meta sucks right now. So I'm not gonna play along.
That worm turned quickly, huh? Like
Yeah.
It was like 2 weeks ago. This is the most robust, amazing meta that we've ever seen, and then all of a sudden, it's like, nope, there's one deck.
Yeah, but it's not just the one deck. It's you'll hear all about this on the Angry Chicken tomorrow.
Sure.
I'm sure. Again, for like the 15th time, but hey, it's what the people are talking about, so it must be continued to talk about. So.
There we go. Go ahead and, of course, check out The Angry Chicken, which is the best Hearthstone podcast in the biz. You can check out me and everything I do right here at justinryoung.tv. That is twitch.tv/justinryoung. Hopefully, subscriber button coming sometime this week. Now that I'm actually back off the road, I can finish that paperwork so we can actually do a thing. And then going forward, it's going to be the road to WrestleMania right here on this show. Going to be booking some guests. Very excited about that coming up, and excited to bring you more of this. Also, if anybody else is a musician, of course, we want our theme song coming up, but also, if anybody else wants to do these entrance covers, we love them so much that we would love to kind of blow out all these melodica ones, maybe when a guest comes on. And then keep doing these covers because I love this sort of like end of the episode bit kind of thing. And we would
if anybody plays like a mouth harp or
Yes.
or if you're proficient in didgeridoo, or something. Just find us some interesting ways to play theme songs.
Because
all about
also
it.
I feel like this is the kind of thing that if and when we start to have actual wrestlers on this show, like this is the only thing I want to do with them. I don't want to ask them questions about where they started, and I don't want to ask them questions about what their favorite finishers are, or whether or not they really want to make it to WWE or anything like that. I just want to play melodica covers for them and ask them if they'd know it. I feel like that would be more appreciated than asking them the same questions that every other wrestling podcast asks of them. All right, so that about wraps it up for us. Of course, there we go. It is 1-900 Wrestling, and we will see you guys next week.
I want you to call me for all of wrestling's latest news and views. I've been around in wrestling for 35 years, and nobody knows wrestling like me. Remember the number 1-900
Wrestling!
Stupid idiots.
They call me Hara.
If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.